Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Daily Records Off the Record podcast with me, David McCarthy, and Keith Jackson, as we speak to some of the biggest names behind some of the biggest stories in Scottish football. 40 years ago this summer, the biggest story in Scottish football, and not just in Scotland, was Aberdeen's sensational European Cup Winners' Cup triumph over the great Real Madrid in Gothenburg. Our guest today is John McMaster, Aberdeen's left back that night, and forever known as a Gothenburg great. As well as winning the Cup Winners' Cup, John also won the Super Cup, as well as 2 league titles and 3 Scottish Cups, as Alex Ferguson's team ripped apart the old firm dominance in the 80s in Scottish football. So welcome to the show, John. Delighted to have you on board.
Yeah, it's a pleasure with yourself and Keith. I'm looking forward to this chat at last.
I think the privilege is ours, John. It's not every day that you get to speak to one of the very few people in Scottish football that have actually managed to get their hand in a bit of European silverware. And by the way, it's the only one. I was 10 at the time, so it's the only one that ever happened in my lifetime. So, and I remember it vividly, the whole thing. It was an absolute fairy tale.
Absolutely. And John, the other thing as well, of course, is that you're part of the only team to have actually won 2 European trophies, aren't you, in Scotland? Because you obviously finished up with a Super Cup as well. Yeah, you get two stars on the badge there.
Oh, you can't resist this. These Glaswegians. You've got the sheep's got to have a wee bit of praise now and again. So we've went through hard times, and it's been a delight. It took us a while to become legends, and I was quite a humble person, so was the boys, but when we got on that pitch, we didn't become humble at all. We just wanted trophy after trophy after trophy by a determined sort of guy. It just got us going and taught us how to win things again.
Yeah, and it's impressive that your shirt still fits, John.
I was wondering how long it would take for one of you two to say that. It's my grandson's shirt, so I stole it for him for a day.
Did you?
Aye.
Good on you.
Proud
see if we go back to the start, you obviously came into Aberdeen in about 1972 or something like that as a lad from Greenock, so you were a long way from home. But do you think that it was when a few years later, when Billy McNeill became the manager, that you and Aberdeen finally started to really kick on and believe that you could crack the old firm dominance?
Yeah, Billy kick-started my first team career, and the appearances started rolling up. I was quite determined as a person, and I got a few knockbacks for the previous managers, and I actually managed to get to the situation where we had a Lisbon Lion as your coach, or 2 Lisbon Lions as a coach, him and John Clark. And what a change in my frame of mind and thinking, because he just come up to me and says, "I'm wanting you in my team."
Right.
I've never heard that from any other manager other than him and the boss. And both of them believed in me, and they'd seen us, because we were playing reserve team football when the first team were away at Parkhead and the Celtic reserves would come up. So you would get a game every Saturday at Pittodrie or anywhere. And John was working with Celtic, and he'd seen this. They were all into games anyway. They're Anoraks, them guys, they're unbelievable. They seen all the games, they remembered names, they remembered faces. And it was John that mentioned to Big Billy, he says, "See the boy McMaster, he's not a bad player. We need to keep an eye on him," when we got there. So one thing led to another. Played me wide left until we got Ian Scanlon in 4 or 5 weeks in the line, but Arthur Duncan had just left as a left winger, and they put me into midfield with Andy Watson. That was it. The rest was history. Just played about 20 odd games there in the whole season, 30 odd games, never done before. So
tell me this. Tell me that, John, because I read somewhere, and it's kind of hard to believe nowadays that this would ever happen, but when you were in and about the first team squad at that point under Big Billy, you had gone up to Aberdeen like a few years earlier as an apprentice plumber. Am I right in saying that you volunteered to do the odd jobs round about the stadium, like a bit of plumbing work and all the rest of it, and you were actually getting paid extra for doing that kind of stuff while being a first team squad member?
Well, that's why I met Billy, because I asked Mr. Donald, the chairman, I asked him, well, it was Teddy Scott first. Everything was through Teddy Scott, who was my stepdad. It was everybody's stepdad, Teddy Scott. So he actually said, I says to him, I says, look, just married at the time, 19, looking for extra money, just had a flat as well. And Teddy says, see, you can get some maintenance here, work with Andy, the maintenance guy. And he says, when the chairman said, no problem, come on. So I had 6 weeks working on the maintenance. He had me digging holes, painting turnstiles, everything, you name it, I had done it.
And while you were in the first team, or the first team squad, you were in about the first team squad.
Aye, but I was still I wasn't on the same wages as the first team squad, if you know what I mean. But I was in the first team squad because Ali just left. And it's remarkable, I've never really thought about it that way.
No, you wouldn't see Graham Swinney doing it these days, would you?
Well, I couldn't have put two pipes together now, put it that way. You know, I don't do the plumbing anymore because Jimmy, he asked me to actually, he says, you want to continue with apprenticeship? I says, no, I want to play football. Right, okay, no problem. So it worked out well for me.
So when you're doing this, John, when Billy comes in, is it right that Billy says, no, this is going to be professional? He wasn't having that. He just wanted you to concentrate entirely on, kicking a ball about the pitch.
No, he was impressed with it because I was keeping myself. And he was pleased to meet me because obviously John Clark had told him about me. Mm-hmm. So it was to meet him, and I met him just at the beach end. And there used to be a gym in there right next to it where the corner of the stand was with the beach end and the men's stand. Mm-hmm. And then the previous year I met the boss at the same place. It's really funny. But the two of them then, I kicked on with the two of them. Big Billy just says, I'm playing you. Let me get a winger first, then I'll play you centre mid, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And he would come up to you and praise you, and he'd also criticise you, but he'd get into your ear and get into your head and get into your thinking, We silly things like never turning your back on old firm players, like free kicks. We silly things like that. Take a quick free kick, you take a quick one, go against them, We Jimmy Johnson, in the wingers, he'd say, I'll just go at the fullback again and get, terrorise them. It's amazing. And that's all Jock Stein stuff.
Yeah.
And Jock Stein, guess what? The boss, Alex Ferguson, loved Jock Stein.
Yeah.
So
did you think then did Big Billy get in there then change the mindset even before Alex Ferguson went in? Was the mindset already beginning to change, the belief that you could crack the old firm?
The mindset went into mine anyway. I mean, some of the boys, he obviously didn't like everybody, but he wanted positions filled, and he got 3 cracking buys. One of them was Gordon Strachan, the other was Stevie Archibald, Ian Scanlon, and then Steve Ritchie. And he got his players in within a month or so, and they started winning games. And you don't criticise that because he's there to get a team winning. And that's what we've done. And we pushed Rangers the whole way. They won the treble that year. We actually went on an undefeated run before the Scottish Cup, and they beat us in the final. That was my first defeat in a cup final. So to get that achievement with the manager only being there about 10 months, 11 months, David, was unbelievable, considering, what he picked up, because he changed it a lot. But the training wasn't any different from what you do with each other. But the tempo was up more, and they played more games, 5-a-sides and stuff like that, So always play.
He only left after a season, didn't he? So, obviously you didn't know what was going to happen with Alex Ferguson, but when Big Billy left, well, he's absolutely gutted at that point.
Well, I was gutted because he believed in me. I'd have done anything for him, But when the boss came in, it was identical conversation that we've had. I was doing a wee bit of extra training this time. I wasn't in the. I'd got a wage rise with Billy, so, and I wasn't in doing the work on the stadium, and doing a wee bit extra training, and he was there with the chairman at the exact same place, the boss, and he knew us, but he come up and he just looked like a young guy, he was about 38 when he got a job, and he could have still been playing. He's a fit-looking guy, thin built, but one of them faces you say to yourself, oof, you've got to get to know this guy, But he come in and he didn't do a lot. He just looked over everybody and tried to suss things out, And it was Teddy Scott telling this story about the boss. He says after a couple of weeks he had seen the squad that he had, and he says, I need a couple of players. And he says he wanted to go and see the chairman. So the chairman came into the foyer at the main door, and he says, can I have a word with you, chairman? He says, aye, come on into the boardroom. And he says, now what is it, Alec? He says, I need a couple of players to strengthen the team, chairman. He says, come here a minute. Dick Donald took him over to the picture of the full squad of players that was there. He used to get pictures taken every year, pre-season. Yeah. 30 odd or 35, 40 players and about 4 staff. Teddy Scott. And he says, boys there, he says, go and work with them, come back to me in 6 months and see how it all goes. He says, we'll back you then. And the boss just turned away and said, right, no problem. And before he went out the door, the chairman just shouted back to him, he says, don't get us in debt, Alec. He never went back.
No.
He didn't go back and see him, chairman. Because he worked for the boys that was there.
Because the boys that were there quickly realised that he could turn them into a force, and that's obviously what he did.
Well, he got into our heads. We get into his head sometimes with frustration. Oh, he just used I think it was the physio, and it was Teddy Scott, Bobby Clark was helping out, and Lenny Taylor. That was his staff and him until we got that for a year. And Pat came in, and what another guy he was. I mean, he's an icon. What a player he was. He being a midfielder and him being a midfielder. He took to me as well, which I says, it's Christmas for me. Wearing half paddy stuff. He's an angel, but he could destroy people in a second. But Paddy moved on, then he got Archie in. And then things started to take off because Knox is unbelievable. I wish I had Knox when I was 17 as a player.
What was so good about him?
He was great. He was great. He's a great fitness guy. He was a great person for building people up. And that's how the Neil Coopers and the Johnny Hewitts and the Ian Anguses, all them, I used to curse them all the time, but hey, he got them up to a fitness level and also to a skill level and got them all believing in themselves and pushing for a first team. He was a big part of that.
He was the sergeant major, wasn't he? Knox, he was like the drill sergeant.
Aye. Even I was a wee bit older. I was the oldest there at the time, apart from Bobby Clark. We all highly regarded Archie, and we all just used to look forward to getting in the Monday morning and saying, tell me everybody can do that. What's Archie got for us? Because the boss has probably been in at 7 o'clock, and seen the tea ladies and all that, and seen the kitchen staff, and seen the office staff, and then they'd see Archie, see what was prepared, and then they'd go out and talk to the old age pensioners. He'd a full day. 7 o'clock was his kickstart. Did go and do a bit on the bike. He was some man. He just got to know everybody, and that was his strength. So it was, Keith.
Did Alex Ferguson? Did Alex annoy some of the players all the time by telling you initially that he's weren't as good as St Mirren and like they could do things that you couldn't do, etc.?
Well, we come up with that and he started criticising. Well, he thought it was a wind-up at the start with, but we were getting a wee bit fed up with this because we're used to training in the car park, remember, David? Right. When we were training in the car park, Real Madrid was on a 5-star holiday somewhere, training in Marbella or something,
It was red ash, wasn't it? It was red ash.
The red ash was unbelievable. Keith, it was unbelievable. Nobody would believe you played that, right? So anyway, we'd be, and the boss would be having a bit of stick and carrying on and whatever, and say, Tony, if it's past it, a wee bit quicker than that, spammer. You know, and we're like, wait a minute. And then he'd talk gravity dingus, you know, and then he'd talk about the big boy, the sweepers and all that down there. He'd talk about a few of the players, and they'd be a wee bit fed up with it. And Wally and I think it was Stuart Kennedy went in and seen him. He says, can we see you for a minute, boss? He says, come on in. He says, what's wrong? He says, listen, he says, you're getting the boys some stick about St. Mirren and stuff. He says, a wee bit over the top. He says, a wee bit angry about what you're saying. He says, what do you mean? He says, listen, St. Mirren done well, got a corner against us a couple of games ago. He says, and you're saying this and that. You're going to lose them. And you know, somebody took on board. He thanked him for it. He took on board. He was open to, discussion with that as well. He wasn't one of them guys that people say, he looks as if he just starts screaming and shouting. No, he was actually good at listening as well. Mm-hmm. And he took things on board, because I don't know what sort of support or what sort of situation he had at his previous clubs, but Aberdeen was a damn good club to manage. And they're great people, and the chairman, the board was solid, and they always supported their managers. Because I had three before that, and they were well looked after, and so was the players and the staff. Lovely place to live, but we weren't winning.
And could you feel at this time, John, a shift? Could you feel something inside that dressing room when you're looking around and you're seeing McLeish's and Millers and Strachan's and McGee's? Could you just get a sense that this is our time now? We're going to do something.
Well, Dingus was a nightmare, but you know something? He actually bailed out about half a dozen of my bad boys because he would make a bad ball look like a good ball. And, every player got to a stage in that time when we played together on a car park down the beach or wherever it was. We all knew what we were doing, and we knew what options we had on. Everybody in our team had options as soon as they got the ball. It wasn't the modern day stuff where you pass, and you don't go over the halfway line until 30 minutes, 4-4-2, 4-3-3, get the ball forward as quick as you can.
Yeah.
He got players that moulded into that kind of physique. And the way he'd done it was because he knew the players' strengths, and he just allowed them to go and express themselves. But he wouldn't ask you to do something you couldn't do. Mm-hmm. And all the boys were like that. So it's brilliant. This, and the tempo, the training was fantastic. With Archie as well, and the balance was great then. And something, the boss and Archie used to go and watch the youngsters, the S forums, the Hewitts and all that, and Big Brian Gunn and Eric Black. They'd come down for Inverness and all that, Rossshire, and they'd train on the car park on a Tuesday and a Thursday with Bobby Clark and Lenny Taylor. And the boss and Archie would be there talking and mingling with the parents, and letting them know how his kids is doing and whatever, And he was brilliant at that as well. Wee bit like Bobby Calderish, he was brilliant at that as well. Mm-hmm. And the boss just would make him feel as important as the players were, the first team. But see if the young boys were doing well, any young boys, the youths, he would recruit them into the training. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't hesitate. He would just put them into training and say, come on, train with us for a couple of days, see how it goes. And before you know it, Simmy's in there, and Eric's in there. And then you've got Big Brian Gunn, and then they become regulars, so and they're hungry. And Archie's got them all round up as if they're going to eat their opposition. Well, Simmy could anyway. But that worked a great understanding because there was boys from Glasgow and Edinburgh who were a wee bit more streetwise than the Aberdeen boys. Mm. And to put a long story short, they played in everything in grass, rugby, cricket, football. They didn't play in half. They didn't play in cinders. They didn't play in gravel. They played in grass all the time, oil. Yeah. So, but we mixed with them, and they gave us some of the hints. And the blend was great.
Aye, well, that's good. So, tell us this, John. You obviously get in the team, and then you were playing regular and stuff like that. But I think in 1980, I think it was that you suffered your 2 serious injuries, or certainly one of the Liverpool one, which we'll talk to you about in a minute. But the other one, which everybody remembers, was the incident with Willie Johnson at Ibrox. Now, I mean, I've looked at that on YouTube and it looks absolutely horrendous. So I need to ask you, what would it like to be in the receiving end here?
Well, that just classed. Well, he must have thought I was a trampoline or something. He was, but he came out with a quote in his book a couple of years later, and he says, "I thought it was Willie Miller." Right? He thought I was Willie Miller because Willie done him a couple of times, and that just slid in the halfway line. Aye, and he's running about. I've got strawberry blonde. My mum says you're not a ginger, strawberry. And I'll say, I'll go with strawberry blonde, Mum. Right. So I'm a strawberry blonde. Willie Miller's running about with his hairstyle like Sheik Davies. How can he was Willie Miller? So, but at that time, I was just standing off. And if Big Dougie had got hold of me, you wouldn't have seen daylight. But before we went on to the bus after it, but I get 4 big studs right in my chest. It wasn't a kiss of life then, but everybody exaggerated it, David. Mm-hmm. But my family and all that, my friends must have been concerned about what was coming over on the radio and whatever, you know. So I phoned them right away and told her everything's fine, don't worry. But I'd already spoke to the press outside at Ibrox. And the boss and Big Gregsy, they were best of mates, and he says, look, if we can keep this quiet and not get too much publicity with Wally. I'd already spoke to him. Boss comes on and says, anybody mentions it to the press, I'm up there on my head. He says, I says, boss, can I tell you something? He says, I've already spoke to the press. He says, you're fine, spammer. He says, what?
He fined you after you had got the studs in your chest and you needed a kiss and all that. He fined you. Tell us this, did you ever speak to Willie Johnson again, or did your paths cross again? You must have played against him again, obviously.
Well, never really. But you know something, I used to love Bud. I used to love watching him at West Brom and the Scotland team. The Rangers. I thought he was brilliant. But then after that, no, and down in my estimation as a man, you know.
How bad was the injury, Joe?
Jim Forrest. It was there with Jim Forrest and Alec Willoughby, and Alec and Jim was up there, and then knew him as well. And it was just typical Rangers players, you know, the tight knit group that they had, you know. And but Bud was on his way out, I think, you know, and he ended up going back to Fife. I think, or he had a club or something. Yeah, but I never really. I didn't really, but I loved him as a player, and all of a sudden, he's just done what he done. I don't know what he was thinking, to be honest with you.
How bad was the actual injury?
It could have been worse. It could have been worse. Sorry, Keith.
I'm saying, how bad was the actual injury? What was required?
It was there was 4 stud marks scraped right down from my neck, right down to my chest, and I was lucky. It didn't go on the throat, where it could have been damageable, and then. But hey, that's the way the football is, you know. And I didn't realise how high you can jump.
Did he say anything to you? Did he say anything to you? Did he say anything to you after this incident happens? When you're lying there, did he say anything?
No apologies, nothing. He just walked away, walked up the tunnel. And everybody was all around, and so the Rangers boys, a big stamash at that one. And you know, but other than that, no, he never even followed up or anything. But the only time he mentioned anything about it was in his book 2 or 3 years later. Classic Wally Miller. And Wally is. So we weren't too happy about that, me and Wally.
I hate to be
just break.
I hate to be kind of talking now about your injuries and all that rest of it, but obviously you played Liverpool in the European Cup and you got a real bad one, didn't you? And I believe that might have cost you a Scotland cap.
It did cost me a Scotland cap. I'd seen the boss about 5-6 years ago, before he was in hospital. He says to us, with my big colleague, we're down visiting him, and we started talking. He's got this big, great picture of Jockstein in the background in his office, and I got my picture to him, and he says to me and my big mate Neil Martin, he says he was unlucky when they started talking about the Liverpool. Now, he says, Big Jock says to me on a Tuesday when he was up for the game, he says, I'm going to include John McMaster in the next squad. He says, will I tell John today? And the boss says, no, let's Bamber Lane. He'll just get all excited about things. Let him concentrate in the game.
Right.
He says, right, okay. Yeah. And that's when they told me that, you know. And I was a wee bit, I was just fed up seeing these guys coming in with these beautiful hats and the velvets and the name on the team and all that. It was beautiful, you know. But I was knocking on the door, and that was my opportunity. But then the Liverpool came up, and we'd beat Austria Vienna 1-0 aggregate, which was a good team and a good result. Mm-hmm. And me says, bring on Liverpool. Oh, Jesus. Oh, they brought Liverpool, by the way. First 10 minutes, we Samuel Lee's whacked me in the nose at halfway line. Mm-hmm. Roland Arnott's, you're all right, John, you'll be fine. Next minute, identical area, I go on a diagonal run to the beach end for the halfway line. I went by a few players, and Ray Kennedy comes in. I've overstretched my right leg, and he hits me in the top of the right knee. My studs stay in the ground, my whole body goes over. Right. So it's incredible how. But I'm doing lying there, and Roland comes on and says, look, he tests it all. He says, just go and try it for a couple of minutes. And I was walking about for about a minute or so. Heavy, you know, and wow. And that was it, you know. So I goes in at half time. I'm in the physios room with Dr. Castle, and he's a great old guy, great character. He's got his moustaches, you know. He's a detective, and I think I'll be able to play in a return leg in 2 weeks' time. He says, no problem. He says, a wee cortisone injection, and you'll be all right, John. And then he slaps my knee. Slaps my and then 18 months later, you know, I was out for about a time. It was a monstrous thing. And it was
back then. That's a career ending.
Yeah, so it would have if it wasn't for the boss. The boss actually covered up a lot of things. When I went up and got the X-ray and then I got the surgery done, the boss was the first person up to the hospital in Forester Hill, and I'm sitting there with my pressing journal and all that, and I've got a stookie from my toes right up to my thigh, right, for 12 weeks. And then you've got 12 weeks non-weight bearing, and 12 weeks. So it was a long time. And he says he's seen the surgeon, and he says to him when he come out for the surgery, he says, how did John's surgery go, Mr. Scotland? That was his name, Tom Scotland. He says, it's not good. He says, he'll never, his leg was swinging like a pendulum, and he says, he'll never kick a ball up. He said, don't tell him that. And a millisecond, Keith, he said, don't tell him. Mm-hmm. He was thinking about my upbringing, you know, losing my dad when I was 5. He drowned when I was 5. And 6 sisters. One was my younger sister and an older brother. We came from a family of 8. And he'd seen it mothered with, you know, my sisters and whatever. You know. He knew all about everybody's strengths and weaknesses. He says, he didn't tell anybody that. And he must have told the whole of Aberdeen and the whole of the dressing room apart from me. Not tell him that. It's unbelievable. And he just looked after us during that and after it, before it and everything. And I was like, I'm struggling with what about the mortgage? You know, I was a worrier because we had 2 kids. And Katie, my wife, she wasn't working, so we got the boss says, look, don't worry about it. I've been up to see Katie. I've sorted things out with Katie, but I want to tell you. He says, I'll give you the full bonus for the first 3 months. And then after the next 3 months, I'll give you half bonus. Mm-hmm. And then the next 3 months, I'll give you quarter bonus. And then by that time, you'll be ready to get in the first team. Mm-hmm. So this is a business side now, in my book, and it might come up, because that's him getting my pathway to work. Didn't even have a clue. He didn't have a clue what he was doing, if you know what I mean. But in this day and age, that's what you would do. Try and get people back to work as quick as they can. But he never put any pressure on me whatsoever. And not one day went by when I was in there, and Joe Hart already saying, Joe had a bad knee injury, he had a cruciate. And the two Greenock boys just threw a bond. We were in together all the time, and the boss would come in and say, how you doing, any progress, whatever. He says, I'm happy, never forgot you. They always come in and seen you. And then he started including me in a lot of things, even still stayed in the same dressing room. In England, that'd have been shift him half out the way, it might be an intrusion. But no, all the players were brilliant as well.
Right.
I'd be on the dressing room floor, doing my bumps on my backside just to try and get active when it's an exercise the physio told me to do, just to get your leg back in order. It says, but the boys would be taking the piss out as usual. So no sympathy, just get terrorised for what you had to do,
Great to get back.
What a time it was. It was a very difficult time in my life.
Aye.
It was my big mate that turned around and says, Neil Martin and Robin McCausland, who I'm with at the moment, he turned around and says, John, he says, you went on to win all the trophies after that injury. He says, what an example that is to people. And talk about resilience and all that. It's determination, and it's people who look after you. It's a big part of that, because without the boss, and the rest of the staff, and that, don't get it wrong, but the boss was, the way he handled the surgeon was unbelievable. I'm amazed at that. Yeah, you can hear it in my voice about it, because wow, if he wouldn't have said that to that surgeon, that might have just collapsed and puff.
I was going to ask you about that. So if the surgeon had come in and said, John, it's bad news, you're finished as a footballer, how would you have reacted to that, do you think?
Oh, I'd have gave it a shot. To see what it was like, I think it was just the actual talk that they had between them. But I wouldn't have gave up, to be honest with you. I was football mad. And I'd have listened to everybody was talking about. It was about getting how you get back fit, how you work up your muscles again, your confidence. It was a right leg anyway, because that was a standing leg, David.
The thing that comes across, John, is we all know about Sir Alex and the hairdryer, and I think he might struggle in this day and age with the way that players are a little bit more mollycoddled. He might struggle to manage a group of players in the same way as he did back then. What strikes me is you've got real love and affection for this guy. When a lot of others, and you've seen the Beckham getting hit by the boot in the head, all that sort of stuff. You seem to paint a very different picture, a very caring, sort of a warm father-like figure, as opposed to the manic hairdryer that everybody perceives him to be.
Well, first and foremost, it was a blast furnace, Keith. It wasn't a hairdryer. The hairdryer was right. Just go down to Manchester for hairdryers, right? Get that right. Blast furnace, and I got it. I've had it. And by the way, his breath's not that bad.
Brilliant.
He's brilliant, honestly. I think it's part and parcel how you deal with this guy. And he knows. See, I had a nightmare. Right, this is how I get a blast furnace. We're going up for a pre-match meal in the park in Aberdeen hotel, and we're downstairs. We called it submarine to go and watch the St. and Greavesy, as we done. And he says, right, see you all 1:45, be here for half one. I'll name a team. I'll name a team 1:45. It wasn't Friday, Thursday, you know what I mean? It was. So we're all racing ourselves, all doing racing. What are we doing for the centre of town and the Pataudry? We get there, I'm in a team. But before that, we're watching the St. Greaves, and Big Alec, my roommate, comes down, and he's the last one down. The shouts over, "You have to drop the pram off to Katie." And I went kind of sir. I went, "Your reaction was great here, David. That wasn't the same as mine." Because I just looked at Big Alec and I says, "Oh, thanks a lot, big man." Boss never even winced. He just kept on watching it. So, but he clocked it. So he goes down and we're playing St. Mirren of all the teams, you know. And I'm in the team. He still picks me. But he hates that sort of thing, the pram and stuff like that. He doesn't want anything like that to talk about it again. So I went out. After a nightmare. After a nightmare in the first half, honestly. And I'm coming out and I'm talking to the wee man. Because we're all honest with ourselves. He says, "I'm having a nightmare. He's going to give me a two in here." And my nose just got in the front door. And it says, "Pram." It says, "Behind me against the wall." So I don't know if he's have been in the home dressing room there, but it's a mirror. And the physio's room's right joint next to it. And it's a big blackboard. And he's pinned me against there with it. So, see Big Alec. I can see Big Alec down behind the boss, and Archie Knox always used to giggle. He used to get his shoulders going and giggling. And you couldn't do nothing because you're facing the gaffer and he's going in one of them. And Big Alec's going like that. He's doing between his knees. "Spammer, you're too much of a family man." So, once you come away from the blast furnace, I thought, I've done well there.
Survived.
Right, guys, let's get ready. He went on and spoke for a couple of minutes. And I said, "I'll tell you what, Spam." I said, "Just you stay in." He took me off.
He took you off.
Just like that. So I was so relieved because I don't know what was going to happen. But see, the following game, he picks me. Mm-hmm. What a difference.
Nah.
You know, you're doing your work and training. He knows that you can trust you. He knows that you can have matches with these people. And that's where you get that kind of people backing each other all the time, supporting each other. You get that kind of trust for each other that sits next to you.
Yeah.
Obviously slaughters you in the dressing room, you know, the same guy is sitting next to you. But he's there for you on that back, you know. And as I said earlier discussion, he introduced all that kind of confidence and gained all that ability, which is talking to people and finding out what their families were like and all their names. And they used to go and meet their mums and dads at all the away games. I mean, we were at St Mirren. Again, funny enough, we were at St Mirren. And it used to be the old stadium, and the windows used to be opened a wee bit in the away dressing room, right? And the punters could kind of shout in. So I think we just beat them 1-0 or something. But the boss is going through this like, it's just shouting and bawling. And the next minute he's getting Big Alec belters. And all of a sudden, this wee guy shouts through the window, "Alec, are you coming home this weekend?" It was Big McLeish's wee brother. Boss turned round and says, "Ladies." It could only happen with the boss. And obviously, when we talk about that, he guts himself laughing.
Yeah.
See, everybody thing about managers being top class, and you know, but see him, he get everything sorted when he wanted it sorted. No, on Monday or Tuesday or Sunday. That right after the game, he says, "We were terrible there, we were great." And that would be it. 10, 15 minutes. On. Well,
was that done?
He just dealt with it.
Let's move it on then, John, to the run that you went on that ended up in Gothenburg and ended up with you all becoming icons of that club. When did Aberdeen begin to believe that you could actually do something? Was it, obviously the quarter-final was a big one, right? You knock out Bayern Munich, you've got every right to think you can go all the way. But was there even a feeling before that, you know, because I obviously had a wee look, and Like, he's played 2 rounds before that, never lost a goal in the 4 games. He's played in the 2 rounds before that. You know, was there a momentum building where you thought, we can maybe do something here?
Well, we got a few doings for a couple of French team, German teams earlier. Then got Hamburg and the Fortuna Düsseldorf and that beat us, you know.
Previous seasons, you mean?
Also, aye, and also the Liverpool. Well, we learned off that. You know, even though we get beat 4-1 in aggregate or 5-1, you know, we learned off that. Beating the Austria Viennas made us stronger as well. But the biggest thing that we done was a preliminary round, and that was against Sion. And we beat them. It was 7-1 at Pataudry. 7-1 or something. And we goes over to Austria, Switzerland, and we beat them. I think it was about 11-1 or something aggregate. But the thing I heard for the chairman of their club, Sion, after we'd beat them, he says they've got a great chance of winning the cup. Seemingly says that boss. He says you got a good team. You got what unit has. He says they're all working together. They're on the same wavelength. He says they all know what each other's doing. He says very organised. He says that wasn't just a mistake, that result, you know. He says these will go a long way in this. And wee snippets like that come back to you. Mm-hmm. Then the next one you go to was the Poles, I think. No, it was the Albanians.
Aye, Tirana.
Albania. Yeah. Tirana. That was the most difficult hurdle we had, right? And it was, in fact, there was a queue at that time with the king. They were trying to get him out. And it was difficult. Third world country, you know, with people when we were going through it was 80 degrees heat. And stayed in this hotel where everybody met at 2 o'clock in the morning and made tons of noises to upset us, but it didn't bother us. But 1-0, we'd scored 1 goal at Pataudry, and the wee striker was unbelievable. Seemingly, he gave Alec and Willie a bit of a hard time. But when we got over there, the boss knew the whole situation, what was going for. And it was one of these things where it shows you how tight we are as a team. We were doing our warm-up in the scorching heat. And Tirana's out, and the fans is all there, all kind of paying for our blood. And we're doing a warm-up as usual, half an hour before the kick-off. And Stuart Kennedy comes up, typical Ferguson, you know, and says, hey, anybody knows where does the referee come from? Where do they come from? Right away, you're thinking, Fergie's getting this guy. He says, I'll go and find out. Stuart goes and finds out where it came from. Right? So he gets a meeting between us all. And he says, you come from Hungary. Oh, right, okay. He says, Stuart's got CBC on. He says, so you never know, he may have relatives over here.
Right.
This is before the game. So we all go, all right, well done, Stuart, you know, pat from the back, I says. And we drew on each eventually, right? So, but before that, we all kind of broke up after Stuart had told us about the situation. And he says, anybody again else to say before we all get on with the warm-up? And Big Sammy comes strolling down, you know, and says, Stuarty. And he's like, Flyer's hungry. Where's hungry? West Coast.
Aye. So you get through that one.
No, but Kennedy said, you want a geography lesson? Stuart Kennedy says to him, you want a geography lesson? Before he
so you get through that one, then you had the Polish team, didn't you? Lech Poznan, you beat 3-0 in aggregate. And then it was obviously Bayern Munich. And, you know, that must be one of the nights of your life, was it not?
That was the best ever. That was the best ever atmosphere in my life at Pataudry. Mm-hmm. And it goes to show it was like the new year at Pataudry. I don't know how you can explain that. It's just that they were so confident in the Germans, arrogant people, you know, and they were a fair side. the rougher side.
They weren't a bad side.
But they actually were up buying what was it? What was it they were buying? Up the tune. It was balls and all that, it was crystal stuff. They were not any of that.
Mm-hmm.
They were shopping before the game before, right? The day before.
Right,
and that shows they were cocky as hell, so they were, Dave. But then every right to be, because they come up and took the lead twice. And then Stuart Kennedy will not be happy with this, but this is when the boss started. This is when he earns his corn. He's very tactically aware of everything. Because I used to sit with him when I was coming to injury, and they would talk about passes two before it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he takes half Stuart. Right. Stuart didn't agree with him, so he had a wee discussion. So just took it half anyway. Get him off. Go on. And spammer on to get the ball forward quicker. Neil Cooper goes to left back. Dougie Roonfey goes to right back. I go into centre mid. And it's me and Dougie. I think Simmy went off as well. So it was me and Dougie Bell. It's in midfield. And Dougie's terrorising people. And I'm hitting long balls. So all of a sudden, the free kick comes in. The situation, the edge of the box. And the wee man and I know us between, and the rest of the boys. He says, we're fucking this up. Excuse my language. That's exactly what the wee man says. Maybe you can use that. A wee bleep. He says, okay. Everybody's seen it with body stance and all that.
Aye.
And it actually nearly come off two or three times in previous games. But the Germans didn't have a Scooby when it happened. Two of us ran by it. Started arguing, really deliberate. Me man, curled down.
Big McLeish.
Bang. And they're still like that. Just looking. What happened there? Wait a minute. What happened?
It's actually one of the iconic goals now, isn't it? That because obviously, it looks as if you've screwed up the free kick. Obviously, it's deliberate on your part, but the Germans obviously hadn't done their homework then if you'd tried that a couple of times before in games and it hadn't worked.
Well, we actually hammered them nothing each over there because I was over at the game and Dougie Bell ran riot.
Right.
So they got a warning and never heeded it. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's how arrogant. But
I even remember.
Sorry, Keith.
Sorry, I even remember the World Cup in 1982. Scotland did a free kick like that. I'm sure it was against New Zealand, and we scored from it. Was it John Watt hit it? But it was the same time. It was like having an argument over the ball.
Aye. Oh, that'd have been fair. Yes. Aye. Yeah, they tried that. Aye. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, this is the most important thing, and this is for the youngest in the team, Johnny Hewitt. We're all celebrating the goal, and Johnny Hewitt just goes like that. It's only two each.
Aye.
We're still out. Runs in, gets the ball, planks it on the halfway line. They're still frozen. It might have took longer if Johnny wouldn't have done that, right? So anyway, as soon as we've kicked off again, bang. Fucking Dougie Bell went and terrorised somebody and got the ball out to me wide left, and I had a diagonal. One of them 60-yarders, bang, to the back post. Straight to the post. So if he's standing in an invisible chair. Eric Black was phenomenal in the air, And just hit and hit the bar. And guess who slides in and scores the winner? Hewitt.
Aye.
Within minutes, 2 minutes, the place has erupted. It's erupted. And the Germans are, wow, we just enjoyed one of the best teams in Europe at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Easily. And it was the best ever. And then we just, Waterside come up after that and we just brushed them aside. Dougie Bell again, outstanding. Just people running at people in the modern day game was unbelievable. And Bell had that strength, Dougie Bell. But what Boss done there was he got Dougie getting forward, running with the ball, and me getting the ball forward quicker.
Yeah.
Just the practically phenomenal. Stuart Kennedy will not agree with that, mind you.
I know, aye. But what about...
in the game?
I know, absolutely. As you said, I mean, you brushed aside Watershy 5-1 at home, and it was done and dusty by the time you went over there for the second leg. So when the finals coming round, Real Madrid, obviously, like the most iconic team in the world, probably. And how did you go into that with your belief that you could actually beat them? Because they had never lost a European final. In fact, I don't think they ever have, other than against Aberdeen.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We're still undefeated in finals, apart from us. 15 finals they've been in.
Incredible.
Nobody's beat, which is a great start. But what had happened was the boss then went and watched them and got people to watch them. And when he went and watched them as well, he came back and says, we've got a great chance of winning. This was before the final. No, we've got a great chance of winning. It wasn't, hey, we've got our hands full here. It was positive. Everyone was. And the build-up was unbelievable because it was so relaxed, it's not real. We're getting all the league games out of the way as well at the time. We're in the Scottish Cup final as well at the time. So, what we done is they took us, and they made everything as simple as it could be. The wives were coming over the next day when we left, and they would come over and we'd meet up after the game and stuff like that. But this is, again, one of these thoughts that Fergie thinks, we stayed in a place called Farzat. The hotel was called Farzat. There's another.
Farzat, where's that?
Farzat is Farrs, Farzat. We did a wee bit of cycling and all that, and nice and easy training session the Tuesday. We went to the Olive on the Tuesday, and Real Madrid and Di Stefano was there before us. Boss was a wee bit concerned about us, thinking about Di Stefano and getting gawping at Di Stefano and saying what a player he is. But he brought along Big Jock's team. Big Jock comes out with us to the training area, and one of the Spanish boys is going, Jock's team. The first to roll.
That's genius when you think about it, isn't it?
Oh, without a doubt. And Big Jock taught him a few things. You're going up to Alfredo Di Stefano. He says, take a nice casket of whiskey in a box and he'd love it. Big Jock's, my mind games. So, listen, to that, Big Jock was off for Scottish football, so he wanted to win. But again, Big Jock paid me a big compliment again because I was supposed to be the weak link against the wee winger. He was supposed to be going to terrorise me, but I had Peter Weir in front of me. And I had the defence there and a big Alex inside of me. So, and also myself, I believed in myself because I didn't get here because I was a Mickey Mouse player. I got here because I was a player. And I could get the ball forward quicker, and Big Jock said that seemingly in the interview he was doing. He says, I think John McMaster might play a big part in this game. He says, which I did. We all played a big part.
Yeah.
But the other part I played, I just remember giving Peter the ball about a yard away from me, and he then terrorised him for a gee to Mark McGee. What a goal that was. Johnny Hewitt.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean,
one thing I know, John, from that was, I'm not sure that game gets played these days because of the weather. I remember it was absolutely lashing down, wasn't it?
Oh, it was green up the weather. That was it. So I don't think every Spaniard liked it.
No, that's right.
Do you think the elements played a part in it, John?
Sorry?
Do you think the elements played a part in it?
Aye, without a doubt. We were used to weather like that. They weren't. We didn't know it was going to be like that, but the way we hammered them for the 90 minutes, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the goal came through the free kicks who we worked on, Gordon, then an outswinger. We used to, the two of us used to go on the corner and swing our outswingers, and they all knew what was happening. And then Big Alec would come deep for the halfway line, head of the ball, goalie palms it out, and Blacko's whacked it in for a metre out.
Yeah.
It's a magic moment. A lot of people ignore that, don't see it. If you watch that game, watch Big Alec coming late to the D, the edge of the box, and gets a header. That's him made up, and then all of a sudden it's 1-0. We used to beat them in 90 minutes.
Aye.
No problem.
Aye. I mean, even like losing the goal the way that he's lost the goal, and he's recovered for that adversity as well, because obviously, Big Alec, he talks about it himself, about making the mistake that led to the goal, but he even recovered for that. I mean, it was just a phenomenal achievement.
It's how we were built mentally, physically, prepared for everything. Anything that came our way, we adjusted and got on with it, found a way around it. Big man doing that could have fell apart, didn't he? Was on outstanding. We didn't have a failure in that team.
No.
There was no failures in that team.
Yeah.
Even with substitutes and whatever it came on, there wasn't anybody. There was no passengers. Brilliant.
The substitutes always seem to make a big contribution, John, as I recall. Every time Sir Alex made one of these subs late on in one of these ties, somebody'd pop up through the bench with a goal. It was frightening the way the team was working.
Well, he wasn't afraid to make decisions like he made with Stuart Kennedy, because Stuart Kennedy was unbelievable. Defender. He's the best right back I've played with in my life. Outstanding fitness guy.
Yeah.
Very, very strong person. And all of a sudden, he's went like that. Stuart will need to come off and we'll need to adjust there and there. And it happens, but he's done it a few times. It seems to me at certain games, that's the pledge of the day. He's raging, getting a bad result, but he turned around and says, whether he's going to play me on the Wednesday is that a signal? You know what I mean? He always used to do that to you.
Yeah.
So they're not today, but I'll play you on Wednesday. But I need you to get a reserve team game today. So he's softening the blow of dropping in you.
Yeah, giving you a G up, yeah.
Right.
He's unbelievable.
Tell us this, John. Tell us this, right? And this is purely a matter of opinion, and you'll be biased because you played in that team. There have been 3 Scottish teams that have won European trophies. Obviously, Celtics was phenomenal, winning what they won. Rangers, when they won the Cup Winners' Cup, beat Bayern Munich in the semi-final, which was a marvellous achievement as well before going on to win it. You've beaten Bayern Munich and you've beaten Real Madrid. You're Aberdeen. You're not, you're a team that probably, in a lot of countries wouldn't have really known an awful lot about Aberdeen. And you've gone on and you've won that European trophy. What's, in your opinion, the biggest achievement? Is it Celtic, Rangers or Aberdeen winning?
Well, we're not supposed to win European trophies in Scotland, right? But for them 2 clubs to win the big one as well, and the Cup Winners, we see the resources that Aberdeen had. They shouldn't have won any of them, but they did.
Yeah,
and that's the difference between me saying that and being biased. Is because the resources that Celtic and Rangers had, 60,000 fans, maybe even 500,000 people going. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's phenomenal. So, and for to do that, and go and do one silverware out with your country, that should be lauded up there way before the Celtic and Rangers. Don't get us wrong. I became a Celtic fan that night, and I became a Rangers fan that night. And you know what I mean? It's a lot of people. I was always a Morton fan, and then I was an Aberdeen man. So, but that for me has got to be the biggest achievement out of the 3. But then, in my eyes, as far as financial business goes, we were punching above our weight.
Well, I've got to say, I mean, it's pound for pound when you look at everybody who's won European trophies over the years. Pound for pound, that is probably as big an achievement as anybody could have, because you were and I know that Ferguson hated the expression provincial club and all that, but that's what Aberdeen were at the time, and yet it elevated them to not only winning the Cup Winners' Cup, but then going on and winning the Super Cup.
Well, it's not just that as well, because if you look at the wee charts, the French football and FIFA done with the charts, they used to do charts, so they did. And if you look at the charts in the 83, we were top of them, right? We were top of the charts all the French and Germans and Spaniards all below us, and with Celtic and Dundee United in the top 15 as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the charts, the football.
There's like rankings, yeah.
But also, the rankings, Keith, aye. The rankings, aye. We were number 1, and also we got a medal for that. Now, the boss said to me, I'm a 1 trophy team or a 2 trophy team, 3, 4, and we became a 4 trophy team that year. We won in the Super Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup, the Scottish Cup, and also that medal for might have been the best team in the world at the time.
Absolutely.
You never know, because Hamburg, you know, the Super Cup is Hamburg were the European champions.
Yeah.
And we don't know what one being better than anybody, you know. So for that to come up, Aberdeen, there's resources. Come on.
I know.
Really. How he operated that club from top to bottom. And I had a story again, most with Teddy Scott. It says the board meetings lasted a minute and the meals lasted 3 hours.
So,
didn't it?
I know. So 40 years on, John, obviously there's going to be a lot of celebrations and whatnot, and you've also brought out your a book. Tell us just a wee bit about that and about why you decided to do that in the process, just as we round this off. This has been a great conversation, by the way. It's been brilliant. So thanks for that. But tell us a wee bit about the book and when it's out, etc.
Well, it's called The Business of Winning. And the reason why it's called The Business of Winning is it's about how Sir Alex Ferguson got us to become winners and the losers that was there before, you know?
Yeah.
And how we transformed supporters clubs, youth coaching, scouting as well, recruitment, you know, how we got a family orientated thing. And it was like Sir Alfred de Stefano saying, was saying, Aberdeen's got a pride and whatever. Well, there's something he says, I'll find out about it.
Yeah.
So once we get that, but what the boss did say is, he says, to start with, it's a 1 trophy team, and then they built it up and made us hungry. But the book is all about the business of winning, and everything that he taught me and how we looked after me with the caring side of this as well. Into this, and my 3 colleagues is David Christie, Neil Martin and Robin McCausland. They kind of mixed it together. I used to go up to Aberdeen with the 2 of them, Neil and Robin, and meet David in Aberdeen, and they'd be telling funny stories, but they'd turn around and say, this is more than a funny story, this is stories that belong in business, belong in everywhere, because they worked in the semiconductors industry, Neil and Robin, for about 30 years now. And they started thinking about things about that. And so it's my upbringing as well from a third world country in the 50s and 60s. It's unbelievable. Heavy, and at that time, Scotland were thriving in jobs and working heavy industrial stuff, especially down in Greenock. I mean, you get 6 boats getting built in a week, you know. We live right next there, so we've got that, and we're schooling, then we're scouting, and then we're into the boys' brigade, and we're into everything else, you know. So I had a great upbringing, apart from the death of my mother, you know. That, with my mother with 8 kids, but things happen and you move on. But it's all about my upbringing in Gibbs Hill, which is a really, really a difficult place to live. I was supposed to have been voted one of the worst teams in Europe at the time because of the gang troubles and that, you know. So there's a lot of guys going up to Aberdeen, just totally transformed everything that I was doing. You know, I was happy enough working as an apprentice plumber in Scottish Shipyard in the Kirkstite Yard and gladly doing the building, but football came into it. But it's a great read. It's the publishers are Morgan and Lawrence, Matthew Mann and Barry Point, and they've been fantastic with us. And they've got the Highlands because I played with Peterhead. Burned out there because I wasn't getting a game, and I've scored 14 goals in 20 odd games became a star for them up there. I was playing wide left by them. And it was a fantastic, because if it wasn't for the head, I might not have been where I am now.
Aye, absolutely, aye. And is the book already out, John? Is it out now so people can go and get it?
I'll send you a cover of it and you can see it, and it'll tell you a wee note, and then you get some information off that as well, David.
Yes.
You know, you can note it for us. I'll send it to both of you. And
Perfect. Aye,
we're going
absolutely.
to launch it in August, hopefully, with Aberdeen. We've been in touch with Rob Wick, the marketing director, and also
right. Absolutely.
Malcolm
I look forward to that. That'll be a fascinating read. And John, it's been a fascinating conversation. Loved every minute of it. Thanks so much for your time with it.
Thanks for your time, John.
I know. And
I've actually thoroughly enjoyed it.
Great stuff. Well, hopefully we'll see you soon, and thanks for sharing some of those memories with us on the Off the Record podcast. Thanks very much, John.